Okay. Good evening, bonsoir, Ani, and welcome to our regular meeting of council. I would like to begin the meeting by acknowledging that we are in the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe peoples in the Robinson-Huron Treaty area and wish to recognize the neighboring community of the Okies First Nation. While we meet today, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands which we each call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their culture. From coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people that call this land home. And with that, I need a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda. Renee and Dean. All those in favor? Thank you. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. So tonight, we do have two delegations. We have our presentation of our annual operating report for our wastewater system and of course, our audited report. We were supposed to start with the audited financial statement report, but the auditor is on his way and should be here shortly. So then I'll invite the people from Aqua. So we have Fred Beauvais and Ted Schneider who will do the presentation. And I turn it over to you. The only thing I suggest, press your button so that, because it's being recorded.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Fred Beauvais with Ontario Clean Water Agency, and Ted Snyder is with me as well. I'm here to present the 2025 annual operating report for the Nuwelva Lagoons, which was prepared by Ontario Clean Water Agency in accordance with the facility's environmental compliance approval. Excuse me. The report summarizes system performance, compliance, maintenance activities, and any incidences that occurred throughout the year. So we'll start with a system overview. The Nuwelva wastewater system consists of two facultative lagoon cells with a rated capacity of 477 cubic meters per day. The system serves approximately 193 connections, and the treated effluent is discharged to the Wolf River. Aqua continues to act as the operating authority. For 2025, the flow summary. In 2025, the lagoons received approximately 72,600 cubic meters of raw sewage. The average daily flow was 199 cubic meters per day, which represents roughly 42% of your rated capacity. We did observe significant peak flow in March, which we typically do year after year. It reached approximately 1,550 cubic meters in a single day, which is driven by snow melt and infiltration. As with similar lagoon systems, the spring flow events remain a key operational challenge for operators in Aqua. The spring discharge occurred between May 12th and June 5th with a total release of 61,600 cubic meters. During the discharge, all effluent compliance limits were met. However, the total suspended solids exceeded Aqua's internal objective. So we have a compliance limit of 25 milligrams, and Aqua sets an internal limit of 20, just so that we have that. So we have that buffer. We know we're creeping up, we're above our objective. So that's typically due to the starting sample and the final sample. The final sample obviously isn't as free of the suspended solids as it is from the 25, 50, 75%. So it's a running average. That's typically what drives it up. But when we see those numbers, we'll typically adjust our ferric treatment the following year or the fall. The autumn discharge took place between October 15th and November 6th with a total volume of approximately 53,400 cubic meters. All sampling results during this period were fully compliant with the regulatory limits within the effluent objectives, with the exception of the TSS, again, which creeped up. I believe it was 22 20.2 in the fall. I don't know that exact number. 20.6. So we were 0.6 over our objective. Overall, the fall discharge was well controlled and met the performance expectations. There was no spills, no bypasses or abnormal discharge events reported in 2025. There were some compliance items. The discharge duration exceeded the ECA limits in the releases. I believe it's 20 days to release, and I think we released for 21 or 22 days. The TSS exceeded the internal objective, and there was also one sampling event that was missed in May, which is a raw or an influent sample that was missed in May. All of them were procedural in nature. They were identified, they were addressed, and it didn't result in any environmental impact. We had a lot of turnover in the past year, so it was new operators on site and they didn't fully understand the compliance or the ECA based on previous operators that was showing them. So again, it was corrected and addressed, and since then everything's went smooth. Hauled sewage, the lagoons also received hauled sewage or septage throughout the year. In total, I believe it was approximately 906,000 gallons were received, which included both residential septic waste and commercial holding tank waste. Most of the hauled sewage originated from Noelville, Albin, and surrounding areas. These volumes were tracked, managed within the capacity of the system with no impact on the compliance, such as the effluent limits. Environmental and operational events. Although there were no environmental discharge incidences, the systems did experience some operational challenges, including main breaker issues at one of the at the David Street lift station, one of the pumps at the Leclerc lift station, and temporary reliance on generator power, which was due to the main breaker in that building. The events resulted in increased monitoring and response, but no overflows occurred and the system always remained under control. Maintenance and asset management. Routine maintenance and activities are completed throughout the year, including monthly inspections, alarm and generator testing, health and safety checks, compliance and data review, major maintenance items. I don't believe there was any. Yes, my apologies. There was pump replacement at Leclerc and repairs, a check valve replacement, and like I stated earlier, the main breaker replacement at the David Street. These activities supported the continued reliability and the performance of the system. Sludge and capacity. No sludge was removed from the lagoon in 2025, and none is anticipated in the immediate future. The system continues to operate within its capacity, although spring inflow and infiltration remain a key factor affecting the performance, specifically in the springtime. Overall, the lagoon systems operated effectively, met all critical effluent compliance limits, and continue to provide reliable wastewater treatment. A few takeaways. To continue to provide effective treatment under the normal operating conditions, remain vulnerable to the peak flows in the springtime via infiltration and snowmelt. Require ongoing chemical treatment to treat the phosphorus and the solids in the lagoons. And we are experiencing some aging infrastructure considerations, which we've discussed for 2026 moving forward. Recommendations: continue efforts to reduce inflow and infiltration, addressing electrical reliability and pump redundancy, enhancing spring high flow preparedness, which is a little bit challenging, but and that just about concludes the summary for the annual report, and I can answer any questions.
Any questions? Bob?
Yes, thank you for your report. Might be a loaded question, but besides regular maintenance, do you see any major repair that has to be done, say, in the next 4 years? And I know you might say no, and tomorrow morning something might go.
No, I don't think I would say no. I would say some of the infrastructure. I think a generator at your lift station. I also think the potential of dredging the lagoons. I mean, not a complete dredge, but in the high spots. I know the survey that was presented a few years ago. It wasn't as bad as I expected it to be, which is a good thing, but I still think that, you know, if we start to prepare to look into a project to get rid of some of that sludge, it's only going to increase your capacity, and capacity is not a major issue, but I see in other communities that it creeps up very, very quick, and it turns into a big job. A generator and some of the infrastructure like the Leclerc wet well catwalk maybe, and some repairs at the David Street wet well. Those are 70s, I would guess, right? Maybe late 70s. So they're up there in age, and they will need some repairs. I think, like I stated, pump redundancy is a key, which the municipality has been great. And now we've used up that redundancy, and we need to replace it so that we have those pumps readily available. That's would be my suggestion. For the next 4 years, I would say generator and potential pump redundancy and potential dredge. If it was a 3-4 day job or a week job, depending on the cost. But I think that will get you a little more capacity, especially in your north cell, because around the inflow and where everything's being dumped, you can see that there's quite the buildup. And they have technology where they can put this dredge in the lagoon and just dredge specific spots that are required. But I can discuss with anybody.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further questions? No? Seeing none, thank you very much.
No problem. Thank
Much
you.
appreciated.
No problem.
And we look forward to 2026. I can imagine with the extra water and rain and snow, your report will be mentioning that.
Yep.
I thought so.
But so far, so good.
So far,
So
so
far,
good.
so good. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So there hasn't been any negative
No.
impact with the rise in waters?
No,
Okay,
and
good.
they're releasing, and knock on wood, we'll be okay.
Good.
I think it's just Noelville that's been okay so far. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, while we wait for Marc Belanger to arrive, we'll move on to 6.1. And you'll see before you in your agenda, because of a few things, we need to move some of our council meetings. So the August meeting that's scheduled for August 19th, we suggest that it's being moved to August 12th, and that'll accommodate all of us going to AMO. And of course, we need to move the July 1st one, because we're not going to have a council meeting on Canada Day, to June 8th. July 8th. So we have a resolution. I need a mover and a seconder. Bob and Roger.
It is moved and seconded, be it resolved that council approves to move the regular council meeting of August 19th to August 12th, 2026, and move the regular council meeting of July 1st to July 8th, 2026.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. Madam Clerk, the AMO conference, do you have all the people that are going that signed up?
Yes.
You do? Okay, good. There's no report for finances, so we'll move on to Public Works and Environmental Services. So we have the quarterly report for the operations fleet, and I believe, Kevin, you will speak to it.
Thank you through you, Madam Mayor. As Madam Mayor said, tonight I'm reporting on the Q1 fleet first quarter. I'd just like to point out in the stats, because I know there's probably gonna be a couple questions on these numbers. 2013 grader, 24,000. That was a capital project for the rear end that was budget for. We were able to come way under on it and do it in-house with a mobile mechanic instead of the quote we got for it. As well as you'll see the 2006 International Fire Truck that also was a planned capital purchase project, sorry. Key highlights for this quarter, winter operations, snow removal, sanding as per usual. We completed the 2013 grader repairs. New mechanics started in February. We had annual inspections completed on 5 vehicles and 1 trailer. And the fire department 2006 International truck was completed with all of its upgrades.
Okay, any questions for Kevin? Seeing no questions, we'll move on to the Environmental Services Department. And I want to welcome Lucas. This is your first meeting with us in person.
Hello, Madam Mayor.
Hi.
So through you, Madam Mayor, I'd like to present my Q1 report for environmental services. As you can see in our reports, we have no numbers posted in. That is just due to winter operations, spring operations. We don't have any pickup happening till our piles build up and we get enough to get it all called out. Key highlights for this quarter: a new manager of environmental services was appointed. That is myself. Nice to meet everyone. Interviews were conducted for a new part-time landfill gate attendant position to support site operations and staff coverage. The Earth Day Committee met 3 times during Q1 to prepare for the upcoming Earth Day event. The environmental assessment process for the landfill expansion remains underway, with EXP continuing to provide engineering and technical support for this project. Household Hazardous Waste Day is scheduled for Saturday, May 9th, just passed. And Free Tipping Week is scheduled to begin this week, which we are in the middle of operations right now. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions? Oh, Dave?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. Can I just ask how we advertised for the hazardous waste day? Because I have a number of people telling me they missed it. They didn't see the advertised. They totally missed it.
Kevin?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'll take this because Lucas hopped in on the end of the quarter. He's just kind of getting his feet wet here. So we did the same thing as we always do. It's always posted social media, website, and we notify people at the landfill gate. So it was the same as every other year we've done it.
Okay. Yeah, I seen it. I just wondering because a lot of people mentioned that this year.
Yeah, I saw it often on Facebook and shared it. So could be that somebody they just missed it. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for Lucas? Wasn't too bad, eh, Lucas? No, okay. Good job. All right, I see Mac has arrived. If you're ready, we can start with the audited report, and everybody has their audited report in their package. Oh, press the, yeah, there you go.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. Apologies for being a few minutes late, but much appreciated to be here again with you today to go over your audited financial statements. As we normally do, we'll go over the financials. If there's any questions, happy to answer as we go along. If you permit me a few additional minutes following the statements, we have a few additional questions and documents to go through with council today. So we'll start with our independent auditor's report. And it's essentially the same report that we would have seen in past years. There's been no changes to the wording, no changes to the standards as far as what is disclosed. And one more page, if you will. And I will start with our audit opinion, which remains a clean audit opinion again for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025, which reads as follows. In our opinion, the accompanying consolidated financial statements present fairly in all material respects the consolidated financial position of the corporation of the municipality of French River as at December 31st, 2025, and its consolidated results of operations and its consolidated cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting standards. We've dated our report as of today, being May 20th, in anticipation of council's approval. As we work our way into the numbers, starting with page 1 being the statement, the consolidated statement of financial position. Total financial assets amounted to $15,760,969, with liabilities of $15,975,398 and a net financial net debt of $214,429, with non-financial assets of $24.1 million for an accumulated surplus of $23,917,605. And maybe just a few highlights to bring to council's attention as we compare to the previous year end. In particular, you will notice cash having gone up from about 585,000 to about 4.4 million. And that's simply the result of the term deposit that had matured during the year that hadn't been reinvested by December 31st. And you would see a corresponding decrease in that investment line. With regards to accounts receivable within provincial and federal receivables, these did come down this year as well, most notably due to some ISIP funding in 2024 that had been received after the year end for the Alban Community Centre, which did not reoccur this year. We would also see there is an asset to be transferred for the seniors complex, which we give some note disclosure with regards to that. And that stems from the previous year end as well, during the construction period of the seniors complex, by which the municipality acted as a flow through during that time period. So we do see an asset of about 9.4 million, but we see a corresponding liability a few lines down as well, representing the debt with regards to that asset. And within that note disclosure, although I won't bring that up with you today, but it is within council's packages, we do refer to the fact that that asset and that liability had transferred in February of 2026. So that is no longer on the books for the municipality. The only other maybe two areas on here to bring to your attention: deferred revenues, obligatory reserve funds. So we do see that about midway under liabilities, a fairly substantial decrease from 1.3 million to 770,000. That's the use of your NORDS funding for capital items. Municipal debt did come down as well. That's simply due to repayment. And I did want to maybe just highlight the net financial assets net debt line, where we see a negative 214,000 for this year. So it's been maybe some time since we've seen a net debt within the municipality of French River. That maybe seems like it could be a concern, but I can assure you that net debt is not an unusual circumstance to be found in. Essentially, what would cause a net debt situation is basically the math is if financial assets were to decrease. So, for example, if cash were to be decreased, or if financial liabilities were to increase, such as debt to be incurred for the purchase of capital assets, for example, that would have an impact on that. And the other side to that is typically those tangible capital assets, which fall below that line. So anytime there's capital assets being funded through reserves that have been collected over time, that might decrease the cash position a little bit, which might result into that net debt situation. And we'll see in a financial health check as well that this does not raise any concerns with the ministry either. So fairly normal circumstances when there's heavy investments into capital assets. Moving to page 2, the consolidated statement of operations and accumulated surplus. So focusing in on the middle column being the 2025 actuals. Revenues accounted for $11,175,362 with expenses of $11,206,612 for an annual deficit of $31,250 before other items. Other items being government transfers related to capital of $905,071 for an annual surplus of $873,821 for a year-end accumulated surplus of $23.9 million. Now, without going through a significant amount of details, and only because if you were to compare to prior year and to budget, quite comparative for the year 2025 as compared to last year and as compared to budget. So not a lot of surprises when we kind of look at things line by line. Really, the only thing that might stand out is an increase in user charges over last year, and that's largely attributed to shared services with the Sudbury East building and bylaw services, which there's some additional revenues, but there's also a corresponding expense related to that we can see under protection services and an increase in those expenses for the year. Any questions so far as we move through? As far as the remaining statements and notes within the consolidated financial statements, didn't intend to go over those in detail with council unless there were specific questions. The note disclosures are largely the same as we would have presented in previous years, with the exception of the seniors complex, which we've given some additional information, but otherwise very comparable from year to year. So unless there are any specific questions, I'd happy to answer any of council's questions. Hearing none, I don't know, do we have the PowerPoint slide? So council may recall from previous years, we do go through a comparative analysis, and we kind of call this maybe a little bit of a health check, just to kind of benchmark the municipality of French River against some of its neighboring municipalities, and any maybe red flags to be aware of for future consideration, for example. And the way we put this together, and we'll maybe skip right to the slide deck with the different ratios and the different graphs. But essentially what we do to accumulate this information is the financial information return that every Ontario municipality is required to submit to the ministry is accumulated in a database, and that is public knowledge. So we essentially extrapolate that information, and we do that comparison with some of the neighboring municipalities that are available. And we do provide, so we provide essentially two pieces to this. The graphs on the left would represent the ratios of French River specifically over a 5-year period and that kind of trend. And then the graphs on the right are that comparison with other municipalities, as well as the risk levels that the ministry has provided as kind of good information to benchmark against. So this first slide that we're seeing here is a tax arrears ratio. So essentially what that represents is your tax accounts receivable less any allowances as a percentage of taxes levied. So if this number were to be getting too large, it might indicate that there are some collection issues with taxes being in arrears that would maybe result in a lack of cash flow and things of that nature. But as we can see, French River is sitting for 2024 at about 11.64%. For 2025 was about 11%. It does fall within a slight moderate risk level that the ministry does state for this particular ratio. So it is on the radar, but that being said, it's in its very low end of that moderate scale. And as we compared to some of the other municipalities, they're very comparable as well. So certainly not a concern at this time, but maybe something to look at going forward for collection. The next slide being net financial assets as a percentage of revenue. I apologize that the title gets cut off there, but it is assets as a percentage of revenue. What this would essentially represent is if there's a lack of resources available for future needs. And what the ministry essentially prescribes as being low risk is anything above a negative 50%. So I had referred to net assets being in a negative position earlier when going over the financial statements, but as mentioned, that's not necessarily a concern. It's not necessarily a risk or something on the radar, since the ministry considers anything above a negative 50%. For 2025, the municipality of French River found themselves at a negative 2.67%. So well within low risk parameters as far as the ministry is concerned. total reserves ratio is essentially reserves as a percentage of operating expenses. And what this might indicate is essentially how much money is set aside for future contingencies or future unknowns. So despite a decline over the past 5 years, if we were to kind of look on that left-hand side, at 36.18% for 2025, still well within a low-risk rating, being above 20%, which the ministry looks at. So again, maybe something to be looking towards going forward to maybe get reserves back on the upswing, but as noted, with substantial investments in your tangible capital assets, that's largely attributed to the use of reserves, and that's been the purpose of those reserves that have been put aside for that exact reason. The cash ratio, I won't spend a lot of time. This is simply a cash as a percentage of liabilities. So again, ability to address any short-term liabilities with liquid funds. We do see a drop there, and that's primarily just classification of the term deposits and the cash that have been put aside. Both are available to French River, so that may be a little bit misleading on the left-hand side, but all this to say at 326%, definitely in a low-risk rating again with the ministry. The debt service ratio is essentially how much of each dollar raised is being spent on debt. And because there's been no new debt incurred for several years, we're seeing a decline in that year over year. And again, low risk rating being under 5%, the municipality finds itself at 2.3% in 2025. The asset consumption ratio is just a visual representation of, if we look at all of your tangible capital assets, being the buildings, vehicles, equipment, etc., about how far along on their useful life are we estimating. And this is take it with a grain of salt. There is a high degree of estimation. A building might last 40 years, it might last 50, it might last 20. So definitely a high degree of estimation. At about 52%, it's pretty comparable to what we see with a lot of other municipalities. The ministry does say above 50% maybe on teetering into the moderate risk rating, but as the municipality continues to invest in its tangible capital assets, essentially that is keeping things stable and where they need to be.
Excuse me, so that includes all our graders and all that stuff, right?
All the graders, water and sewer,
Okay.
buildings, vehicles, equipment, everything. So that's including everything, and all those items have different estimated useful lives as well. So
Including the roads?
yes, including the roads as well.
Can you just scroll back up for just another one? I know. Okay, slow down. Huh? I just want to see the percentages at the, you know where it says the percentages?
The risk levels at the bottom there.
Yeah.
One of them is wrong.
So high is higher than 5%.
Lower than 5%.
Lower than 5%.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's the opposite.
That's backwards. That's why.
So anything in excess of 10% is low risk.
Yeah, it's because, okay,
Yes.
good.
The last slide here, again, maybe not overly useful for today's presentation, the operating surplus ratio, just being the annual surplus or deficit over the municipality's own source revenues. And again, this would represent the ability to cover operational costs and still have funds available for contingencies or other purposes. At 10.8% for the year, once again, very much within low risk ratings. Anything in a positive position is considered low risk as far as the ministry is concerned. So all positive things, maybe a few things to start considering for future years, but certainly nothing of major concern at this time. Are there any other questions on that? I do have two very small questions and a very quick presentation verbally with council if time permits as
Yeah,
well.
go
But
ahead,
before moving on, are there any other comments or questions?
Any questions? Okay, go ahead.
Perfect. So annually, as part of our audit process, we're required, based on our professional standards, to raise any issues or concerns or kind of give an overall highlight of how our audit had gone for this year. I can say the audit's gone very well again. A big thank you to the finance department for assisting with the audit once again this year. We're always greatly appreciative of the organization that we get our information in to be able to do a smooth audit. So big thank you for that. Without going into a lot of detail, simply because essentially the same processes as in past years, maybe just a few highlights to bring to your attention. So as part of our audit approach, we do have to determine whether we'll take what we call a substantive approach or a combined approach. And essentially what that means is a substantive approach is going down to the physical documents to support the transactions within these financial statements. So invoices, timesheets, pay records, bank statements, et cetera. And a control approach would be a little bit more reliance on the controls within the municipality, the signing authorities, the review process, et cetera. And I can say for the municipality of French River, we take a combined approach. So we do rely on a lot of the controls on the payroll side of things. We still do some substantive work on payroll as well, but we do test the operating effectiveness of controls on payroll. Significant findings from the audit, nothing to bring to your attention. I had talked about the audit opinion. It's a clean audit opinion again this year. There are a few key estimates that are reflected in these statements, and they're reflected in the notes as well. But these are primarily the asset retirement obligations, so obligations with your landfill and any other liabilities of that sort. The useful life of capital assets, as mentioned before, so that is an estimation, as well as any amounts recorded for allowance for doubtful taxes. So if there's amounts that there might be an assessment, they might not be collectible, that works its way into our estimates as well. No accounting policy changes for the year. With regards to materiality, so council may recall this from previous year's presentations, but as auditors, we have to determine an amount that if there were uncorrected errors in these financials, at what point would they have a substantial impact on your decisions as members of council, the users of these financial statements going forward? So we essentially take the municipality's expenses and 3% based off of normal standards to come to an amount of $336,000. So if there were errors in excess of $336,000 in these statements, might negatively impact our audit opinion. We would work with management to make those corrections so that they're properly reflected in your statements. And that's not to say that we ignore things under 336,000. We do substantial work to ensure that there's not a cumulative amount that would exceed that. And in fact, we would bring to council's attention any errors in excess of 16.8 thousand being 5% of that number. We would bring that to your attention if they had not been corrected within these statements. And I can confirm with you that any items we might have noted during the audit in working with management, those have been properly corrected. So no uncorrected errors in these financials. One of the last things I wanted to just discuss quickly is independence. So as auditors, we're required to confirm our independence with the municipality annually. So on behalf of myself, my audit team, and Baker Tilly, we are independent of the municipality of French River. Finally, other matters, all related party transactions have been reflected in your statements. No significant or unusual transactions have been noted, nor were any significant matters discussed with management. We will ask management to sign what we call a letter of representation. And essentially this letter simply states that all information we needed for the audit had been provided to us. Internal control recommendations, no deficiencies to bring to council's attention. So if ever we were to come across some recommendations that we would like to make just for future consideration, we would do so, but nothing will be reflected in our letter this year. And finally, no instances of legal acts, fraud, intentional misstatements, or errors were noted during the audit, nor were there any instances of non-compliance of laws and regulation were identified during our audit. So I always take this opportunity to ask of council. We have not come across any such instances of illegalities, fraud, etc. Is council aware of anything that we should be made aware of as auditors for our audit file? Hearing none, fantastic. The last question I have for you today. So because we are responsible for these audited financial statements up until their approval by council, has there been any events since January 1st up until today that may have an impact on either our financial statements or our audit that we're not already aware of? No. Perfect. So with that, thank you so much for your attention. Greatly appreciated. If there's any other comments or questions, I'm happy to stay up.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions for Mark? Thank you for doing it again for us. You're not Roxanne, but you did a good job.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
You tell Roxanne I said that.
Absolutely. Well, she'll be happy to hear that. She definitely misses these meetings. So I'll let her know. I
Yes,
talked to her. I still talk to her, and she's quite
Yeah.
happy in her retirement.
Oh, well, I bet she is. It was well-deserved retirement for her. Well, thank you so much. At this
you.
time, we have a resolution to adopt the audited report. I need a mover and a seconder. Dave and Renee?
It is duly moved and seconded. Be it resolved that council approves the audited financial statements prepared by Baker Tilly Chartered Accountants for the year ending December 31st, 2025.
Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. And again, thank you, Mark, for coming out. Okay, so we'll move on to 6.4, Recreation and Community Services. And we have a resolution before you to award the canteen lease, and Jason will speak to it.
Good evening, through you, Madam Mayor. The current contract was up for renewal. The municipality leases the canteen spaces at the Noelville Community Center Arena, located in the lobby, and the outside canteen near the ball fields. The request for tender 2026-03 was issued on April 7th, 2026, with a deadline of April 21st, 2026. The tenders were opened publicly on April 23rd, 2026. Two bids were received, one from Carol's Paneling Box with a yearly lease agreement payment term in the amount of $2,100 plus applicable HST, and one from Contingent Cafe with the yearly lease amount payment term in the amount of $2,000 plus HST. The two proposals were evaluated against the following quality and experiences, prices, and curriculum. It is recommended that council awards the canteen lease agreement to Contigo Cafe for a 3-year lease term with 2-year renewal optional, additional 1-year optional in accordance with the terms and conditions of the original lease agreement. Any questions?
Any questions by council? Seeing none, I need a mover and a seconder. Roger and Bob?
It is moved and seconded. Be resolved that council awards the canteen lease agreement to Contigo Cafe for a 3-year term with 2 renewal options for an additional 1-year term in accordance with the terms and conditions of the original lease agreement, and adopts bylaw 2026-29, being a bylaw to authorize a canteen lease agreement for the lease of space at the Noble Community Center. Be read a first, second, and third time and finally pass.
Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Jason. We'll move on to Emergency and Protection Services. So we have a resolution for the public space bylaw. So Kevin, you'll speak to that?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. Tonight, we're bringing back the proposed public space bylaw. The purpose of the public space bylaw is to regulate the use of municipal parks, wharfs, waterfront areas, and other public spaces within the municipality of French River. This is intended to give the municipality clear rules and better enforcement tools for how public spaces are used. As public access, tourism, and seasonal use continue to increase, there is a need to be proactive rather than waiting for problems to occur. Our municipality has already experienced issues such as unauthorized camping, long-term boat docking or storage at wharfs, motorized vehicle use in parks or trails, and activities happening in areas that are not designated for that use. This bylaw is meant to help prevent those types of issues before they become larger concerns in French River. Staff proceeded with public consultation in July 2025 under council's direction. The draft bylaw was posted on the municipal website and social media to allow the public to review and provide comments. The feedback received was positive and no concerns or requested changes were brought forward to staff. The bylaw is about protecting municipal assets, maintaining public safety, and keeping public spaces accessible for everyone. It provides clear expectations for residents, visitors, and enforcement staff. It also gives municipal law enforcement officers clear authority to respond if issues arise. The bylaw includes clear definitions so everyone understands what is being regulated. It addresses camping, overnight use, vehicle use, commercial activity, and unauthorized use of municipal lands. It includes specific rules for parks, waterfront areas, wharfs, and public access points. It also allows enforcement through fines of administrative penalties under the AMP system. There's also authority to remove items that are in contravention of the bylaw and to temporarily close or restrict public spaces for safety or operational reasons. Overall, this bylaw is proactive. It is not being brought forward because of one specific issue, but to make sure the municipality has a clear framework in place before these issues become more difficult for us to manage. The recommendation before council is that council accepts and adopt the public space bylaw.
Thank you. Any questions with regards? We've seen it a couple times already. Yeah, I thought it was well done too. Yeah, very well detailed. Okay, so then I need a mover and a seconder. Willie and Roger.
It is moved and seconded, be it resolved that bylaw 2026-28, being a bylaw to regulate public spaces in the municipality of French River, be read at first, second, and third time and finally passed.
Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. Let's move on to the fire department. So Rock.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is the fire department's first quarter. Emergencies, we had 27 emergencies. Leading the way was medical assist and motor vehicles and 4 structure fires. Inspections, we had mostly 3 inspections were requests for fire reports due to those structure fires. Training, the bulk of the training was external, as we have members of our fire department attend the fire conferences and other trainings such as going in St. Charles for hazardous material training. So we had quite a bump there with 17 and 7. Equipment check remains 7. Burn permits low as usual because first quarter we're still in snow, so with 6. Agreements, we had a mutual aid activation with the structure fire with the Henvey Inlet First Nation for one of their houses that caught fire. Recruitment and retention, 1 junior recruit at Station 2 in Albert. Update on fire department. Rescue 2 was returned to service with the new Cascade system and was utilized in 2 structure fires this year. So it was useful for our members. We were able to fill our bottles on scene and return to duty without losing 2 members and a vehicle to run back to Noel to fill air bottles. So well paid off. Kept everybody on scene and accountability was great for us. 3 firefighters attended the Northeastern Fire Education Conference in Deerhurst in Huntsville. The fire chief attended a two-day mutual aid training symposium in Deerhurst. 6 firefighters attended a hazardous material training and certification in St. Charles. Firefighters completed their annual emergency first responder training as well during the months. Any questions?
Any questions? Bob?
More of a comment. I see your, and I don't have it in front of me, your calls for medical assists are up. You already have 9 in this quarter. I just want to say that this past winter, I had one of those calls at my residence, and your volunteers were super. They were so professional, so well trained. Thank you and great job.
Oh, thank you, Councillor Pable. That program was spearheaded through, our falling with COVID. We decided to look at our response time and we're responding to medical, and we decided to up our level of training, which our captain Aiden West spearheaded and has been doing very well, and he's been training us since day one. And with our paramedic services, they've been utilizing us a little bit more. Their confidence has grown with us, and we're talking their lingo when we're working with them. Thank you.
Any other questions? Now you'll do oh, sorry, go ahead.
I noticed that Manitoulin, TSAB is change providers for their 911. Does that affect you guys?
So they didn't change their provider. They are changing their response model to a different style. It just come in effect actually tonight at midnight. I'll report on it next quarter on how their new response model is changing. But for us, operational wise, it will not change.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because we're out of Smith Falls, right?
Yes, it's just the EMS, their response model is changing tonight at midnight, which I'll just give a brief overview next quarterly, how they're getting paged out, but nothing is changing at our level of operations.
That's good. And now you'll do a
I'll
report.
just do a quick update with, thank you, Madam Mayor, with the flood situation. High water level continues on the French and Lake Nipissing. Recent rainfalls that we had this week gave a slight increase in the watershed, but we are still seeing water slowly decreasing, but not as fast as we would like. We've been in it for over 30 days. It's been long for everyone. Currently, we still have 2 municipal roads underwater, 1 provincial road and 1 private road still underwater. So we're just keep monitoring any updates we find. We try and forward to the group or our partners such as MTO to let them know what's going on. While the situation is still vulnerable, any significant rain events over 30 mils could impact our operations still and impact the river greatly. With that, we still have about 300 pre-filled sandbags ready to deploy if we need to, and we have over 5,000 sandbags that's been distributed to date. We still anticipate to have water levels be high for the next couple of weeks, but I will provide a greater detailed report in my second quarter report in the next couple of months. So we'll see greater numbers and what we have spent with emails, pictures, and videos that we took in during our course of our emergency.
Thank you. Any questions? Bob?
Yes, stupid question on my part. The sandbags, do we recollect them or leave them with the people for hopefully not future use, but
So the
or are they
sandbag-
just trash?
Through Madam Mayor, a lot of it is salt sand, so some of them might return to our landfill. Most of them, it's up to the homeowner to dispose of it properly.
Mark?
Through you, Madam Mayor, just one more note is we are currently working with ministry staff in terms of the disaster recovery fund to see if it can be activated for our area for residential individuals the province has 2 programs, one for municipal infrastructure and one for individuals who for some reason don't have insurance. So we'll keep you up to speed on the results of that work with the ministry officials.
Okay, thank you.
Mark, do the businesses still not qualify or?
They're actually coming to the area next week to do their on-site review, and we've listed some of the commercial businesses as well.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Doc. There's no report for building and planning, so we'll go to 7.1. As you have before you, Seniors Month is the month of June, and we usually declare Seniors Month for seniors, along with, we have our annual luncheon for them on June the 5th. And so there's a couple of things we need to do here. So we need a resolution to declare Seniors Month 2026, and the theme is Ontario Seniors, Let's Get Moving. So I need a mover and a seconder. Renee and Bob.
It's a long one.
You can get to the there.
It's not that long. I'll read it all. So it's duly moved and seconded, whereas Seniors Month is an annual province-wide celebration, and whereas seniors have contributed and continue to contribute immensely to the life and vibrancy of the municipality of French River. And whereas seniors continue to serve as leaders, mentors, volunteers, and important and active members of the community. And whereas their contributions, past and present, warrant appreciation and recognition, and their stories deserves to be told. And whereas the health and well-being of seniors is in the interest of all and further adds to the health and well-being of the municipality of French River. And whereas the knowledge and experience seniors pass on to us continues to benefit all. Be it resolved that council hereby proclaims June 2026 as Seniors Month in the municipality of French River and encourages all citizens of our community to recognize and celebrate the accomplishments of our seniors. And further, that council approves a contribution of $1,000 towards the 2026 Seniors Month events as budgeted.
Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. I see you put the two together. That's good. All right, let's move on to the, I need a resolution to adopt the items contained in the consent agenda. Willie and Dave?
It is moved and seconded, be it resolved that council approves the items of the consent agenda under section 8.1.
Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. There are no notices of motion? No? We'll go to announcements and inquiries, and I'll start with Roger at the other end.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've mentioned it many times, the reason I like French River, it's a very clean area. 2 Sundays ago in Alban, I saw a woman driving a four-wheeler with a small trailer behind it, going along the ditches and picking up whatever garbage she could. That, I thank you very much. You're a big part of the community and you're helping out. To the homeowners, could you just check the ditches in front of your house and whatever, and pick up anything that doesn't belong there? I'll thank you ahead for that. Thank you.
Bob?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I haven't got much. Last week with Councillor Renee and yourself, Madam Mayor, we were in Timmins for the FNM conference. I enjoyed this conference very much, especially the keynote speaker, Jamie Campbell from Sportsnet. He was amazing. There was a lot of presentations. Some were dry and some were very informative. Some were laughable at and enjoyable. I got a chance to speak to the Minister of MNR. Very, very good conversation. I was able to ask the question again this year, if any of the ministers there could give us an answer, a timeline on Highway 69. Still waiting for an answer. It seems they don't have no set schedule or nothing in place. Lucas mentioned it a while ago. I just want to mention we are in the middle of pre-tipping week. So till Saturday, I believe. Saturday is inclusive there. And for the seniors complex, we have our seniors board meeting on next Tuesday. And on the Thursday, the 28th, we have the grand opening. I believe you all received invitations. Please let me know of your attendance. We will have 4 or 5 speakers. I'm telling them they're cut down to 3-4 minutes, except myself because I make the rules. So the long range forecast is nice for that day, sunny and plus 24. We will have speeches, ribbon cutting ceremony, a few stories, and a barbecue. So that concludes my report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Willie?
I have nothing to add.
Thank you. Mr. Dean?
Don't have much to report, really. I've been very busy the last few weeks with water issues at our house. We started out on March 16th, and all of a sudden we had no water anymore. But the river was, we take our water from the river, and the river was ice covered, couldn't get to it to find out what was going on. And so I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but we finally now, although our basic problem is not addressed, we are having running water in the house without any problem, because my daughter and son-in-law, who have a cottage about 300 yards from us, I'm hooked into their system, and so we've got running water. But it has really taken a lot of my time and to deal with this issue, and it's not quite done yet. But I'm waiting actually now for the water to go down some, because to send a diver in at this point too, with the water, the level the way it is, it's even hard to get a boat in, never mind anything else. And so I'm kind of delaying this a little bit to find out just where our problem was. Not the first time we've had that. Over the years, we had a foot valve go in the past. The little screen on it, stainless steel screen, can disappear in the river. And the next thing you know, you got a minnow or something caught in it, and that'll spoil operations. But other than that, I don't have anything really to report further. I'm just glad to see lots more sun and the temperature going up a little bit, and things are drying up, and hopefully the water levels will soon be down to normal.
Yes,
Done.
thank you. Dave?
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Renee?
Just a few things. Like Bob said, we went to Timmins last weekend, and I will say that the people in this community do a good job at keeping it clean. Highway 144, I found, was just disgusting with garbage on both sides of the road, almost all the way through. It was sad to see, actually. And then, when we look at ours, when you drive back home, you're kind of proud to see how much cleaner it is. It could be cleaner, but yeah, good job to the people out here. We learned a lot of things throughout our conference. For me, one of the things that was recreation, the activities in our area, how it helps promote not only for good, healthy living for our seniors, but also promoting it for our younger generation, and having them integrate together, like mix, as the library's been doing a lot of programming, has, like the mayor of Iroquois Falls said, they have seen a lot of beneficial long-term success with those kind of programs in their area. So it was interesting to see, because we have a lot of those programs out here, so it was nice. Then Oh, Bob forgot to mention he had a talk with MTO about hunting season and potential more tags being let out. And there are supposed to be some better news coming for the hunters. So that was good news. And welcome back to all our seasonal residents that have left. I've seen over the last week that the town is 100 times busier than what it was last week. And a lot of the people are back. So welcome back. And that's about it.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
if I'm asking a question, what weekend is our market at the
Oh.
church starting?
The market at the church is starting June 6th, I believe.
Yeah.
It's starting.
Saturday and.
Yeah, Saturday,
Yeah,
June
it's going
6th
to
will be the first day of the market. And also the market will be organizing and I will be meeting with them to help them out. Christmas in July, which will be July 25th. So we're gonna work out a few things and get back to you on that.
Yes, Dean.
Just another comment that I thought of. My daughter and son-in-law live in Barrie but they have a cottage right next to us and they're up and down the highway. And I just, because of what Bob was saying about 69, there's a lot of work going on in that 40-mile stretch that's not 4 lanes. And just what it is, it looks preparatory, like they're getting ready to do more major work along there. But there is a lot of effort being put in. My kids have been delayed to all kinds of hours or on the highway waiting to get through because of work that's being done. Just a matter of interest.
Thank you. As for me, again, don't forget June 5th for the seniors luncheon. I'll go back to FNUM. One of the things we were able to do was to, even though we didn't have a formal delegation, was to get a meeting with the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing to talk about some of the issues at the planning board. And he was very kind to us and thank you, Mark, for coming in with just a few hours notice. But I think that he heard us and as soon as we were finished talking, he did go to the appropriate people to have some discussion. So I'm hoping the problems that we're having will get resolved sooner than later. The other thing too that's starting soon, and I don't have the date, but it's the Good Food Market. And it's going to start in June. And there will be here in Noelville and over in Alban at the 2 same spots. So at the church in Noelville and at Univi Center in the back. And they're hoping to have it for most of the summer, but right now they're running into a deficit. So they're looking for funding and hopefully a lot of people will go and purchase fresh fruits and vegetables from them. It's cheaper and it's much fresher than what you get in the grocery store. So I believe that's all I have. And with that, I need a resolution to adopt the confirmation bylaw. Willie and Dean?
It is moved in, is it, my God, it is moved and seconded that bylaw 2026-30 being a bylaw to confirm the proceeding of council of the municipality of French River at a meeting held May 20th, 2026, be read first, second, and third time and finally passed.
Thank you. All those in favor? And I need a resolution to adjourn. Dave and Dean. All those in favor? Thank you. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you. Merci.